Meet the artists who connect to nature with creative license.
Funding for Outdoor Idaho is made possible by the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moore and Bettis family legacy of building the great state of Idaho, by the Friends of Idaho Public Television, by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting.
It was the artist Edgar Degas who said, "Art is not what you see, but what you make others see." Hi, I'm Bruce Reichert, and welcome to Outdoor Idaho. We're here at the Idaho Botanical Garden, where nature and art easily coexist. For many artists, nature affords a creative license to explore the rich personal connection that can turn dreams into reality.
Wow, look at the sunrise, you guys.
A unique form rises from the lava beds overlooking the Craters of the Moon National Monument. With its bleached ribs against the dark volcanic cinders, one imagines the skeleton of a beached whale or perhaps a dinosaur. Actually, it's a riff on a largely unseen feature of the area, underground lava tubes. Its creator, renowned Seattle sculptor John Grade.
This idea that there are thousands of voids under the landscape with these lava tubes is really compelling. Also the fact that it was created by all this kind of drama of the volcanic landscape and this molten thing happening, that was appealing.
Grade is known worldwide for his very large installations, many of which are meditations on humans' interactions with the natural world.
How's that feeling over there?
Got a little gap over here. It's on something right there.
Ah, that feels good here too.
This 85-foot-long piece was commissioned by the Sun Valley Center for the Arts as part of a celebration of the 100th anniversary of the National Park System.
The parks were founded as a result of visual artists going out west and verifying the tall tales that were heard by explorers. I mean, Yellowstone wasn't real until there were watercolor paintings and photographs made of these sites.
Yeah. Perfect. Now down. Perfect. Much better.
So it makes a huge amount of logical sense and emotional sense to invite artists to come in and interpret a space.
Looks great. Oh my God, it looks so cool.
The project also includes a sculpture of one of the ancient limber pines in the park by New York-based artist Jason Middlebrook.
I just fell in love with these trees, the dead trees, and how old they are and how weathered they are and how much character they have. And you know, people are shocked that these trees are 1,000 years old. And I kind of like that challenge that I was trying to make a 1,000-year-old thing.
Putting art in Craters of the Moon was the brainchild of Ted Stout, who runs the interpretive and education programs at the monument.
Craters of the Moon is kind of an acquired taste. I mean, it's not your beautiful mountain scenery, you know, that people generally associate with Western national parks. But it's, having said that, it's very beautiful in its own way, and the lava is very sculptural, and we hope that we'll increase that appreciation for this stark landscape that we have here.
Grade came up with the idea of a lava tube after visiting the park.
My first trek into the park was in the winter, and this was when I was out there in the cold in February and nearly freezing overnight. When I came out the next morning, I had to jump on a plane really quickly, and that plane fortunately took me right over, and I looked down and I had my aha moment sitting in that seat. And so it was about shelter. A lava tube cave is going to stay at 32 degrees when you've got these howling below zero winds. So it had this layer for me of refuge.
To try and capture that feeling, Grade went down into a lava tube with scientists, where they made a digital map of the space using LiDAR technology. With that information, he began to design his piece.
As you're moving through the sculpture, the ribs are further placed on the ends, and then they become more and more compressed as you come in. And what this is doing is it's giving you a little bit more of a sense of the kind of claustrophobia that you can get when you're in one of these caves.
Grade was especially challenged because the center had also asked him to include a creative nod to Ketchum, where the piece would eventually be moved. He decided to hearken back to the days when the Union Pacific Railroad had a spur line into the valley. That rail line was eventually converted into the bike path, where the sculpture would be sited.
So the scale of each of these ribs of the sculpture is the scale of a railroad tie, about 9 inches wide. And then as you're looking across the length of the sculpture, you see these pairs of horizontal pieces. They reference railroad tracks.
Grade named the piece Spur, and he chose Alaska cedar as his construction material.
It's particularly special wood because the trees are probably 400 to 500 years old and they're standing dead, but because cedar's so hardy and insects aren't getting into it, it's perfectly beautiful wood. And I wanted a dark inside so that I could speak to what it is to be inside this lava tube that's this kind of interior black scarred surface, and to put you as close to that experience of the burning as possible. What's I think nice about this piece is that it's meant for people to grab hold of it, to sort of lean on it, to put their bodies really directly against it. It's a piece that's meant to be felt.
Even before Spur was finished, that was happening.
It's just so amazing to look out and you see this awesome landscape, but then you're inside a sculpture.
It's a spectacular piece, and I love the inside that's been burnt, so it does feel like the inside of a cave. I'm looking forward to seeing it in different kinds of weather.
It's incredible for anybody to come up and experience it, not just look at it, but experience it.
If I look at the kind of span of the pieces that we've been working on in my studio for the past few years, this is the most challenging, and it's been the piece that people have gotten the most excited about.
As a full moon rose over craters of the moon, Spur shimmered.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
6 months later, with fall leaves taking the place of lava beds, Spur was moved to its permanent home in Ketchum, as was Middlebrook's piece.
I was a little bit apprehensive because I was so enchanted with how it looked at craters, and I'm actually a little happier with it here. For me, the way that the mountain, the ridge of the mountain behind it picks up with those two gradual peaks just perfectly echoed by the sculpture is kind of a nice serendipity.
Spur would survive a heavy winter. It's now becoming part of the community. The piece is weathering, its wood darkening and cracking. Some of the torch spots are fading. Art is blending with landscape.
We want to live with nature and we want to understand it better. Art is another way for us to see and feel and experience our world.
Sunset above the 800-foot deep Bruneau Canyon in southern Idaho would be inspiration enough for most photographers. But for Jon Mills, it's just a prelude. He's waiting for the dark.
But you get out places like this, that's when you see stars. You can make out the detail of the Milky Way plain as day if you let your eyes adjust.
With his camera already in position at the canyon rim, it's just a waiting game until night comes.
Yep, there it goes.
Within a few hours, it's finally dark enough for stars. An app on his phone shows him the position of the Milky Way as the Earth rotates.
Midnight it'll be there, 1 o'clock, 2, 3, 4.
The naked eye can't see what the lens can, so he takes a test shot in the dark.
There we go. It was instant that I was hooked, like, wow, I really can capture these crazy nightscapes that are just, you know, way beyond my imagination. Didn't even know you could get something like that. Let's see, 9:04 p.m. is when the sun goes down according to the ephemeris.
Back home in Jerome, Jon meets his friend Crystal to plan a night shoot. And this time he's taking his telescope, hoping to capture some deep space star clusters.
So May 25th, time about 3 a.m. We're gonna be out late.
Yep.
Yep.
Typical.
Yep.
A nearby favorite spot to shoot the night sky is Gooding City of Rocks. The monoliths that make up this landscape here are called hoodoos, volcanic ash shaped by erosion and wind over millions of years.
Right now, if we're just grabbing the sunset, just need cameras, a couple of tripods.
Before night sets in, Jon and Crystal head out to explore the scenery. It's truly a mystical place as clouds settle on the horizon and sunset hues color the sky. A ravine full of springtime camas captures the imagination.
I got some dynamic sky in the background, which is quickly getting dim, but still pretty dang interesting. Yeah, it's kind of neat.
In the wee hours of the morning, Jon sets up his telescope. He doesn't need much light. He's had a lot of practice. A camera body is attached to the high-powered lens and mounted on a motorized tripod head which tracks the rotation of the Earth. With exposures lasting up to 20 minutes, tracking keeps the image from blurring. He patiently waits for the clouds to move through. But it looks like they're here to stay for the night.
We're just blocked out.
But he's not discouraged. Getting images like this is well worth the wait. And if he can't shoot the night sky tonight, well, those clouds might just mean there's a storm coming.
Our next guest has a passion for photography and a very close relationship with lightning.
Yeah, take a look at this stunning picture. It was taken Wednesday night in Jerome, Idaho, and this shot led us to even a more fascinating story.
Yeah, so joining us to talk about it.
But that's not all that caught their attention.
And lo and behold, as I'm out there taking pictures, I wound up getting hit.
Oh my gosh.
And Jon, I also understand you actually took a picture of the actual lightning bolt that hit you.
Yeah, actually.
It just looks like a big lightning bolt almost off of the frame of the camera. What doesn't translate is that main bolt of lightning in a wide-angle lens was less than 300 feet away. And I got one of the little side guys.
It knocked him out and caused some burns, but it didn't scare him away. Jon still chases storms, but he doesn't take his luck for granted.
Very lucky, or unlucky, I don't know. I got lottery tickets and those didn't pay off after the fact, but yes, very fortunate to have not taken the full brunt of that, which is why I'm here now. Probably would not have survived that.
Really created everything by hand since I was a kid. Steel was what really grabbed me. I think because of the environment and really the wildness of the place I'm from. It's tough to move, but at the same time it's very forgiving. I can relate to that.
Patience and skill guide the hammer as the metal is heated and pounded over and over again. Alexandra Paliwoda's passion for steel started in her teens when she learned how to shoe horses.
I hadn't anticipated I would necessarily be a full-time blacksmith, but I was really good at making horseshoes. And I found I liked doing that and just shaping the steel. I liked it more than actually working on horses. Even though there's some variation to every hoof or maybe a specific type of shoe, it gave a great foundation to very simple steps that I could take and apply to the actual craft of blacksmithing.
Shoeing horses soon took a back seat to developing her skills as an artisan. She studied art and completed an apprenticeship with a blacksmith. An old cinder block garage in Driggs became the ideal place to forge steel, an alloy of iron. The majestic mountain ranges surrounding the Teton Valley reminded her of home, the wilds of Alaska, where she spent most of her young life.
Nature inspires me almost every day. I think every run I take or hike outside, I see something beautiful. And I love how there aren't too many harsh lines in nature. There are a lot of curves in all reality, and that I love as well.
Her skill with a forge and hammer, along with some creative marketing and a good business sense, soon brought success. Iron seemed to capture the imagination of her clients.
I hear a lot of people say that it's something they could fit into their home. It's handcrafted, it's real, you know, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into it, and people like that. They like the story.
Alexandra's story includes her love of travel, especially to remote places around the world. Protecting nature is important to her, and that's reflected in her business. She only uses recycled steel and creates little waste. When it's time to fill orders for retail vendors, this little shop buzzes with activity. But she does get some help.
I do all the actual handcrafted blacksmithing aspect of it, the forge work. I have a welder who's almost continuously full-time during the busy season, someone who does finish work, and someone who packages. I love the challenge of trying to figure out how to make something 10,000 times.
It's hard to imagine having the time and energy to do custom pieces too, but she knows some shortcuts.
The thing is that I have gotten really good at certain things. And so I've taken those things and applied them to custom work, which actually I probably do 1 to 2 custom pieces a week.
She's invested in some pretty powerful tools to help save her arms and shoulders from injury. But the work still has its hazards.
Yeah, I would say the 2 main dangers are getting seriously burnt or having a tool take something out of your hands, throw it out of your hands. I was actually grinding a paper towel holder of all things. I was on the bench grinder, moved it to the wire wheel, and it took it out of my hands and broke my nose, hit me in the face. So it crushed my face pretty well.
Even with the extra tools and help, Alexandra knows her days pounding iron are limited.
Have a circle. There you go. First step. I do see myself retiring from the production forging aspect of it. I don't know. I can't even begin to think of retiring from the creative aspect of it because I actually find a lot of joy from that. I think that's something I could literally do forever is, how do I make this? What am I inspired by? You know, try something new. So the first thing I'm going to do today is turn the forge on. This is my forge and this is what heats the steel. It heats it to 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's really hot.
As Alexandra grew her business, the backcountry blacksmith, she found that she fit in pretty well with the locals in the Teton Valley.
You know, it's a small community. Everybody kind of knows everybody, which is mostly good. And you just have this neat mix of people who love what they're doing where they are.
After hours of hard work and some trial and error, an original piece finally comes together.
Yeah, it was kind of a fun experiment, something I thought of for a little while but wasn't sure exactly how it all worked out, so you never know till you try. Yeah, that's it. The circle kind of just represents having traveled the same trail, I was actually trail running when I thought of this piece. And then the inside piece, little mountain scene that I created, yeah, that's just, I guess, what kind of feeds me all the time.
So this is the main part right here. There's the verse. I like guitars a lot. There's the F to G part. And I wanted the bass originally, but my dad said, it's like, no, you don't want to play the bass guitar, you want to play the guitar. It's like the guitar players get all the women. And that's not the truth, I found out, but it is definitely the instrument that was the right choice for me. Yeah, like that.
They call it mountain music, written and recorded far away from any city. Mother Nature is their muse, and a captive audience their only critics. Casey Kristofferson and Fred Crabtree met at a jam session. The two share a love for songwriting and guitars. They've been helping each other make music ever since.
Out of 100 musicians that think they're pretty good, probably only 10 of them are actually playing for money. And out of that 100 musicians, there might be 2 or 3 that are originals, work on their original songs. Casey, my friend here, is one of them, and so am I. And then there was the harmonica lead right after that.
In the mountains of central Idaho near Chalice, this off-the-grid cabin at Hat Creek is part living space, part studio.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to turn some reverb off?
No, keep it on there.
Solar panels provide just enough juice to run the sound mixer.
Try not to do too many lead licks, we'll add them in later. Just get a good rhythm track, remember those spots. Ready?
You know, I decided to record with Fred just because I knew that I could be more creative, and I knew that I would be more comfortable in recording, you know, and laying down tracks with him. Won't you give me something more? I've been trying to settle the score, and I spent all my wishes in the winter time, and now I hope that bluebird will be mine. It's really surprising to me the amount of sound that we got from just the two of us in that little cabin. You know, with that one microphone, it was pretty impressive. And that's what's special about Hat Creek Sessions, is that it is about as raw as you could get.
His connection to the Sawtooth and the White Clouds wilderness inspires much of his music. You can even say he's lived some of it.
I'm lost in the white clouds, and I'm never coming out. I was up on a hunting trip. It was getting dark and it was getting cold, and I was on top of this mountain ridge, and on my right side I could see Castle Peak, and then on my left side I could see all the mountains in the Bowery area, and it really just made an impression on me just how vast and large the landscape was. And you could really feel how small you were, you know, in relation to everything around you, and it was really kind of a powerful moment. There once was a woman dressed only in white. She came through the winter and left in the night. And they say she's a spirit, or more like a dream, with eyes like an animal, so it would seem. The lady is sort of a totem that actually represents a mountain goat. I have held this belief for a long time that the one animal I would never hunt, the one animal that to me represents true purity and beauty up in the mountains, is the mountain goat.
Casey feels compelled to write music, but he knows making a living from it will be a real challenge.
I'm lost in the white clouds, and I'm never coming.
He plays gigs around the state and works seasonal jobs to make ends meet. The life of an artist.
The rancher has given new breath to his child.
Fred's place is not easy to get to, so setting up a recording session takes some planning. Casey wants to put a new album together this year, so the long journey is worth it.
You like this
Good. Yeah, sounds really good.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm liking it.
Let's work on it some more.
All right.
With time on his side and a head full of songs, Casey's future seems certain.
Won't you give me something more? I've been trying to settle the score, and I spent all my wishes in the winter time, and now I hope that bluebird will be mine.
I just love to play music. That's just what I would like to do with the rest of my life.
If the world was built by a gypsy queen, she ran her life into a dream. The real world falls like a guillotine, and it's a concrete jungle, so it seems. I've seen an eagle soar, I've heard a lion roar. Not everything living will make it through. The same can be said for me and you.
Funding for Outdoor Idaho is made possible by the Laura Moore Cunningham Foundation, committed to fulfilling the Moore and Bettis family legacy of building the great state of Idaho, by the Friends of Idaho Public Television, by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting. To find more information about these shows, visit us at idahoptv.org.